what's up you guys, this is Rob from The Gay Guy Plays, and today on The Daily Grind, we're going to be chatting about the rewards available in Cetus. Now, honestly, I was really inspired to do this, mainly because of the fact that I went ahead and watched the dev stream again. I tend to kind of like watch it several times to kind of let everything sink in, and I found some very interesting tidbits in there that I hadn't noticed before, and it didn't have to do with all of the big Eidolon fights, it didn't have anything to do about the open world combat, which we will talk about in a different video, but one of the big things that I noticed was some very interesting rewards stashed away, and I wanted to see how you guys felt about it. So first things first, let's go ahead and chat about some of the merchants that are there. Now, as we saw, they had kind of like timers going on them. They did say that it was placeholders, so they weren't 100% sure if it was going to be something that, you know, everything would be timed almost kind of like Barrow Katir style. Like they've got certain kinds of offerings and then they would actually go into different rotations for when those offerings were available. But you definitely saw this in the pet merchant, I guess you wouldn't say pet merchant, but pet customization merchant, and also in the masks merchant. But one of the interesting things that I saw there that, you know, wasn't in the rest of this, because as we already know, Cetus is a little bit of a syndicate. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I expected to see the syndicate banner on the side and for things to cost syndicate standing. However, what I noticed is when I was looking at these two different timed merchants, these merchants were actually selling things for resources. So they weren't talking about, you know, having to earn up all of these syndicate standings that we normally do with normal kind of, you know, syndicate groupages. It was the word I was going to use there, but that's not the appropriate word. But if you actually pay attention to each of these actually require resources that you need to pull from the plains, which I find to be very interesting, because it's kind of like they're incentivizing us to specifically go out and prospect, go out and fish, go out and spend time in the plains that doesn't necessarily like involve combat. They want us to participate in all of these outside activities, which, you know, for some people are really excited about, and other people may not be as excited about. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, as I was playing Dauntless, and you guys might hear me refer to that a lot because it's very Monster Hunter-y, and I'm kind of on this Monster Hunter tip right now. But one of the things that I actually like doing is going out solo and just scrounging for resources. Just kind of like taking my time and being able to go through, look for all of the nodes, grab all the things that I want to, you know, kill my way through if I have to kill my way through. But legitimately, this is a big contrast in the way that we normally play the game, because usually we have to go out on big massacre killing sprees to get any of the resources that we want. So it's a really big paradigm shift for them, and it's almost kind of like saying, enjoy and take the time out to look at the plains. And in fact, it was kind of like one thing that I noted that Steve said, and it's a little shady. He was reading Rebecca just a little bit. But Rebecca like got out into the plains and she's like, I'm ready to kill. And he was like, whoa, give it a second. Take a time to soak it in. And that's kind of like what I feel is going to be happening with some of these, you know, extraneous merchants. Of course, you know, these aren't the core gameplay merchants. These are guys selling masks and selling color palettes for your pet, but it's definitely something different than we've encountered in the past. The next thing that I want you guys to pay very close attention to is the fact that if you look at the jobs board, there are some very interesting rewards there. We see the return of a name that we're very familiar with in the past, which is Augur. Now, if we look at the rewards list as Rebecca is scrolling through the jobs, you'll actually see Augur Reach, Augur Pact, Augur Accord, but I didn't actually get to see Augur Message, which is kind of like, I'm like, oh, maybe it's like on rotation or something. But for those of you guys who don't know what Augur Message was, it's actually a part of a mod set. So as we know, you know, equipping a certain amount of mods on I don't know if it's Warframes, I don't know if it's weapons. I'd like to say it's all gonna go on the same Warframe, but you'll see the next list that I'm like, ooh, it's a really hefty list that we've got there. I don't know how you would equip that all in the same Warframe, but as you see, there is bonuses that actually come from using Augur Message. However, that wasn't the end of the story. We actually went through and I was taking a look at it and I saw Gladiator Might, Gladiator Rush, Gladiator Aegis, Gladiator Finesse, Gladiator Resolve. So a part of me instantly was thinking, you know, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, it has something to do with our Tenno maybe. I was like, but then I got reeled back in because I saw Augur Message and all of the Augur sets in there. And I was like, what if this is a second mod set that we don't have any clue about yet? What if this is another set with set bonuses? So I'm really excited to kind of see that. However, I am slightly worried because of the fact that, you know, putting, like, we've got Might, Rush, Vice, Aegis, Finesse, and Resolve. That's 6 mods. I'm counting that right. I'm scared that I didn't get it right. That's 6 mods, which only leaves 2 more spaces for, like, flexible mods. So I'm very, very curious to see the stats on these mod sets and to see if they're actually worth using, because the bonuses from, like, using a collective set together need to be good enough to warrant any kind of loss in statistics that we might have. And you know what? We haven't seen the stats on them, so as far as I know, these ones might actually be comparable to the mods that we already have, maybe only losing out a couple points, or they might even be better depending on their rarity. So that's definitely something that I'm very, very excited in. You'll also see that in addition to those, we have another mod that is in there, or another reward that could potentially be a mod. Sounds like a freaking sword stance to me, and that is Carving Mantis. So I saw that and I was like, that's a stance. So the stance is definitely going to be a part of the reward job pool, at least this one. And of course, all of this is placeholder. Nothing's finalized, but, you know, from what we saw from the footage, this is something that is going to be available in the Plains, and something that I am very, very excited about. There's also Red Flaros, which seems to be a new, what I guess you would call it, crafting material. Now, that's one of the big things that I really want to point out here, is because of the fact that we do a lot of talking about all of these rewards, but again, we're being driven out into the Plains to prospect, to do fishing, to do all of these kinds of things to really help the Ostrons and the Cetus colony flourish. And all of that will get us more standing, will get us access to all of the links and all of that kind of stuff. And if we take a look at the links, of course, they are placeholder values at, you know, at the moment, but all of the blueprints for the Czar weapons, I guess we're going to call them Czars because that's what the component weapons are for Cetus. So the Czar weapons, Zod. I was thinking of the actual weapon, the Czar. But the Za weapons are going to be these composite weapons, and we have to use all of these different blueprints. So it's really going to be resource farm heavy. And I know that a lot of the community is not necessarily about the farm, you know what I mean? And at the same time too, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is the fact that Syndicate weapons have never been available in the Platinum market. So there's going to be a big push, not only through the marketplace itself, like when I say the marketplace, I mean like trade chat. All through the trade chat itself, but there's going to be a lot of people farming up resources. They really kind of want to push us to spend the time to get all of these items, which a part of me is kind of excited about, because that really reminds me of all of the old MMOs where you would have to take the time out and you'd really have to buckle down and kind of like farm for different parts. I remember in different games I would actually have to be building things for what was referenced as these like ultimate or epic weapons. And that's kind of like what happened with the HEMA. At least to me, the HEMA was completely and utterly worth every single dime of that cost that, you know, they put out in there, because the HEMA remains, I'm gonna say it, probably my favorite burst rifle in game, and probably in my top 5 weapons currently that I'm feeling. It just does so much. It does a good chunk of damage. It keeps you healed up. It can take out enemies. Like, even when I didn't put on too many form on it, it really did a lot of damage. So I'm kind of hoping that the investment time that DE is going to have put into these, that they make those weapons feel worthwhile to us at the upper ends. Because as you know, the Syndicate system that we're going to be having in there is going to be tiered system. So we're going to have to work our way up, and each time we work our way up, it's going to be new pieces that we can put together. So I don't know about you guys, and I'm gonna, I don't know, defer to you and see how you feel about this, but me personally, I feel like I'm probably gonna skip out on all of the lower tiers, and I'm just gonna grind out to the max Syndicate standing that I possibly can straight out of the gate, and then after that, I'll go ahead and dabble in all of the extra, like the Za weapons, you know, play around with those and see exactly how those feel, and then commit to like the bigger, stronger variants. because legitimately, I don't want to waste my time with any of the middle bits. I just want to say, all right, let's see what the top tier is. I'm just going to blast through it all. And as you guys noted from the Reddit Q&A, if you guys haven't watched the Reddit Q&A video, please be sure to watch that. We get into some of the ridiculousness that's on there, and I want to make sure you're fully aware of my stances. But one of the things that they stated is that at this point in time, at this current point in time in development, there is no actual ceiling to how much standing you can earn in a day, which to me, I'm always cautiously optimistic about it, because I'm the kind of person that will plunk down and I will farm. I have been known back in the day when they released a new race in one of my old video games. I was like, oh my god, it's a little fairy, it's a little evil fairy boy. I sat there for about 72 hours straight grinding that character out so that they could be, I believe that they were the second on my server to be like max rank. The first in their class, the second on their server. So I'm like, you gonna let me grind out all the standing in a day that I possibly can? Cause you know I will be there on the stream. I will just be like this. I can't make videos because I need all the standing in the world. Let's do it. I'm down. I'm totally and utterly down for all of that. However, as you guys know, in the past with Vivergate that occurred, they enforced some standing rules. So part of me says, you know, it's something to get excited about, but be cautious about getting too excited about it, because legitimately it feels a little bit kind of like, I don't know how that's gonna go. But regardless, let me know how you guys feel. Are you guys excited about all of these new mods that may be potentially coming out? Are you excited to kind of see their effects? Because we have augurs and we have gladiators, and that sounds kind of like, well, I believe the augur one restored. Hold on, we're gonna do a quick cut right here because I gotta figure out exactly, because it was like a shield restore, like every time you use, like for the cost of your cut. All right, so I'm not quite sure where I left off because y'all know I tend to ramble. However, I do want to thank Past Rob for being on point with his coverage, because I went ahead and looked up the old video, and as you can see with this image here, we've got augur message that is a set bonus of 1 out of 6. So it's just kind of like the gladiator one where I was like, holy shit, that only leaves with 2 mod slots left. Now, augur message is 20% ability duration, which is 10% less than base continuity, but only 8% less than constitution. But I do need to point out that constitution, I think, maxes out at like 13 at its mod drain, and this one only maxes out at 5. So this one actually might make your build a little bit more flexible in case you're not trying to drop in a whole bunch of format into it. But the set bonus is 12.5% energy spent on abilities is converted into shields. Now, I'm not really sure of how much use that's going to be to a lot of frames out there, but I do want to point out that if they include, I don't think they're not going to do it with this update. I just need to put that out there. But if at some point they manage to incorporate it in shield gating, which I would super be excited about, this would work amazingly with it and work hand in hand with like frames like Hero, who actually uses their shields as a resource to figure out the duration for his healing abilities. So I think that's a really, really cool idea, and I'm really, really excited to see that. However, I want to leave it up to you. I want you guys to let me know in the comments below how you feel about the set mods, how you feel about spending resources, like not like credits, not like syndicate points, but actually like having, I need to give you a fish for this vault mask. Let me know how you feel about that. Let me know how you feel about the potentiality of some of these traders to have timed stock. So it's kind of like, oh, well, they always sell the Volt mask on Wednesdays, or they only sell Kavat imprints on Thursdays, or something along those lines. I think that would be kind of interesting, and have you log in on certain days to be like, oh, okay, this is when I pick it up. It really, I'm gonna be honest with you, it really kind of brings life to the culture, and it almost makes it feel like, oh, okay, I gotta see this dude on Wednesday, let me mark that out. I'm gonna stop in real quick, do my login rewards, come say hi, come pick up the Kavat color palette that I really wanted. It feels like you're going to like a fresh fish market where you're like looking around, you're like, what's good today? It's like the farmer's market of Warframe. Warframe now has a farmer's market. Leave me your feelings on all of that in the comments below. Let me know how you feel about the new potentiality of farming. Do you think this is going to be a little bit more interesting? Because, you know, we've never done this before. The combat's going to be, I feel like the combat's going to be a lot different, or at least have a very different feel to it since we're in the open area, but that's discussion for a different video. So I will leave that there, leave me everything down there, and I will chat with you guys next time. So as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll chat with you guys next time. Bye-bye!